I remember when I was a child, I used to play as a having those flashback now. I used to play with my friends and my brothers and sister. I used to get like big tomato cans, tins, right? The big ones. And I used to put them upside down so that it works as a kind of chair stool. And I will invite my friends to come over, and I remember to have so much fun trying to interview the people around me, but not only interview. It was like I was trying to change their mindset, because I remember one of the first questions will be, "How are you today?" And then they start to tell me how this day went, what did they do, what their desires were, or in that time, what the desires are. And I remember myself kind of deeply thinking into answers so that I can come up with something that might bend their minds, but at the same time might help them to become a better version of themselves. And I remember having so much fun doing these interviews on a broken table, on a chairs that they weren't chairs, they were kind of upside down, really. Like, imagine you kids playing around on the neighborhood. I remember my sandals, they were broken. I probably didn't have a shower at that time. I remember to be so aligned and to be so at peace with what I was doing, despite of all the seemingly needs that I was displaying back then. I remember that was my boom, that was my point of reference. And I remember that I would get so upset when they didn't take me, my friends, because they are kids. Now we are kids. I was a kid. I was a child. I'm talking about 5 to 8 years old. I remember the last time I did it was like 12 years old. And then I started working on my dreams. But I remember to do this with my friends and family members so much that at some point they started kind of joking about the way that I was talking, because I was trying to speak the best way I could. I remember they were mocking me because I was using the S at the end of the word if it needed to be. Because sometimes when you get too comfortable talking a language, you will stop saying the S's, the S at the end of the word, or the R in a proper way, proper manners. If you didn't know my main language or my mother tongue is Spanish, right? So I'm talking about saying things in plural that requires an S at the end. And when you get too comfortable talking Spanish, sometimes you don't mention the plural S at the end. You just carry on so fast talking that people will understand, because you are saying something that will explain that is more than one. Anyways, I remember myself to be so specifically and purposely speaking the language that I remember being the focus of attention, because they were mocking at me because I was talking properly. That was one of the things that pushed me to talk a bit worse. And I remember as a child to think about it, because I was being the focus of I was being different, basically. And I didn't want that pressure. I didn't want people to mock at me because I was talking properly. I know that doesn't make sense now that I am an adult, because I should have just continued loving and nurturing myself, because I know that was the right thing. But here's the thing, that's how the mind works. And I'm using this example to get you to the point where we're gonna go now. Mind works this way. You give it an idea. The idea, you check it if it's matching or not with your purpose or with the people around you. And whatever is more important in those times, then you're gonna decide, you outside of your mind, you decide what's the course of your next step. So mind is there to kind of replicate what you give it, what you feed it with. And that time, what I did was, I want to continue doing these interviews. I want to continue kind of playing this way because I was in love of helping people, interviewing people and helping them to achieve the best, even back in those ages, my early ages. However, there was something that was even more noisy. That people were mocking at me and laughing off me, not with me, but laughing at me, because I was talking in a good way, in a perfect way, I would say. Well, I didn't want to become the weird one. I didn't want to be the different one. So I started my journey of talking badly. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I purposely remember talking to myself in my thoughts. Okay, I don't want them to mock at me. I just want to play around with this. I just want to play with them, without them trying to laugh at me or laugh off me, because I was different. I was talking properly, and I felt like, okay, I'm gonna start talking badly. And then purposely I started little by little eating the S at the end of the word, as I said before. Talking badly, if I have to join two words, I will do it. And now they just look at me. After I took that decision, they just look at me and they see a different Zoila. They know that I'm not talking properly, but they wouldn't, because it's different, they wouldn't laugh at me now, but they, instead of laughing, would look at me with a little bit of disappointment, because they wouldn't have a reason to mock at me now. Here's the thing. I pay attention to the noise that's coming from outside instead of paying attention to the beating, the message that was within. If I close the doors to the noise, I wouldn't be able to hear the noise outside, the second voices that are telling you change because you are not capable, because you're not worthy, because you are not enough. Change because you are too perfect, or change because you are doing something that is not common for the crowd, is not common for the culture where you're living in. But here's the thing, if you're not common, embrace your differences, because that's a blessing. If you have a blessing to be different, embrace it. See what you can do, because that means that only you have the ability, the personality, that only you have this beautiful gift of having something that not many people have, basically. If you are different, that means that you are one in a couple of millions. That is something great. That is something cool. That is something that you have to embrace. You see, back in there, when I was a child and I was playing with my friends and family, I was interviewing them, but really, I saw it as a game when I was a child. But now that I am an adult, I see it as me getting ready to my life purpose, basically. Because it is what I'm doing now. It is what I am doing, helping people that are suffering from anxiety and depression. But back in there, when I was a little girl, didn't recognize it as a practice, because basically it was a practice, but I didn't recognize it until I started doing what I was dreaming of many years ago. And no, I'm not that old, but I see it as many years ago. I've been practicing helping people that are suffering from any stopping feeling that may work on a negative way towards their life purpose. I am here as a liberator. I am here to prepare fitness for the mind. And that's how I call it in my business. ZYGER FIT is fitness for the mind, because we roar together. Because until you liberate your mind, until you kind of realize that you are capable of doing your dreams, you're not gonna go and do it if you don't take that decision. Until you realize that. That's all I wanted to say. So, when you were a child, if you went through something similar, and then like me, like I was in those times listening to the noise outside my window, if you did that and you are now as an adult or a young person or a teenager and you're listening this audio, I want you to understand that at the moment you take the control of your life, at that simple moment your life starts. I repeat, at the moment that you take the control, at the moment that you take the decision in your mind, at the moment that you put your hands on the wheel, at the moment that you decide the course of your life and you put it in your mind, that is where your life starts. That is the point of reference for the starting of your life. I hope this has been of a help for you. Please share it with the people that you know they are gonna get benefit with this.